Halls of a Four Seasons loft. In Austin, I stalled, pause. My eyes crawl to a table. Paralyzed by pairwise dice, then attend to this heaven slice of an angel wrapped in skin. Throw dice and woes of life. Love deprived, looking to revive. What's the meaning of life? One subjective paradise. Crystal chandeliers, motives reflected. Often mirrors appear clear, grinning from ear to ear. Craving and raving the grain, rekindle the flame. Closer she draws near. Stay there, remove your underwear, shove it somewhere over there. In paradise, we know our purpose. Dreams.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Unpopular Hour. Thanks for watching. I'm your host, Matt Clark. Thanks for joining me. Excited about the show today. Man, it was some pretty good basketball last night. I'm still really disappointed in the Nets. We're going to talk. We're going to start out the show talking about that game, how they got beat by the Celtics. And of course, you all know me. I'm a huge Laker fan. I'm not a Celtic fan, but that being said, watching KD last night go for 39 on 31 shots, which for him, for most players, to get 39, they have to do 39 shots. Kevin Durant is more like 31 shots. To get 39 points, they have to 31 shots. KD is more like 24. He's extremely efficient. He missed so many shots that he normally would make. I don't know. He was a lot more aggressive, but I think it was hard to be aggressive when you hadn't been aggressive all series. And even though he had 39, I'm like, okay, you had 39, but why weren't you being that aggressive? And you know the double team was coming. You know what you could have did to pass the ball out, which is what you were trying to do. You're not that great of a passer, so you're going to pass the ball out. For most players, they pass the ball out. For you, you do what you did last night. You rise up. You see the double team coming. You take a couple dribbles, pull up. Who's going to stop you? That being said, Jason Tatum did play defense on you really, really well. He is younger than you, but still, that's no excuse for you because, last night he was kind of guarding you, and you're 3 for 18 with him guarding you. It was very frustrating to watch the post-game conferences or afterwards. Watching Kyrie, I just don't know how you get swept and you have no remorse. You have no feeling about it. You're not upset. How do you get swept and it doesn't bother you whatsoever? And we're going to get into detail about, well, shit, fuck it. Let's just get it. Excuse my language. Forget it. Let's get into it now. Kyrie, you're not a GM. You're not a coach. Out of the games that you've been available for and been able to play, you've played in 118 and you've missed 116. Of the games that you and Kevin Durant, of the possible 247, I believe it is, games, y'all have only played in 58. You, James Harden, KD only played 2 games together this year. Now, you admit after the fact that you probably was being selfish, letting your team down by not taking the vaccination. Yeah, no doubt. You were being selfish. Did that hurt the Sixers? Of course, it's hurting the Sixers in their deal. Now, all of a sudden, it's 3-2. Guys, you are getting paid an exorbitant amount of money, and if you want to be against the vaccination for health reasons, I'm all for that. But to stand on some sort of political stance because of that, you're hurting your team. This is a team sport. You are paid to play, and for you not to do it for some political reason, are you serious? If you have a medical condition, I agree with that 100%. And we've talked about that. Does it help from you getting the virus? No, because too many other idiots are out there now with the virus who don't believe it exists. A lot of those people are 6 feet under now because they didn't believe. Second thing is that can you spread it? Sure, you can get it, you can spread it. But why do you get the vaccine? You get the vaccine because A, it cuts down on your length of times that you can pass it on. A, secondly, you heal quicker. It does. Your symptoms aren't as bad. And third of all, if everybody got it, we wouldn't be having any discussion any damn way because the virus would be pretty much null and void because everybody would be vaccinated against it. So the chance to spread it or go way, way down. And it's so funny is all these people out here spreading the rumors about, oh, don't get all those stupid people on Fox, all those people vaccinated, all of them. But they're telling you not to go. And you listening to it. It's idiotic. Anyway, Kyrie, to get back to the subject, we're not a political thing here. This is not what we do unless it involves sports, which this clearly does. You cost your team this year. You had zero chemistry. All of a sudden, the mayor lifts the restrictions. By the way, you call him by his first name. He is your honor or the mayor. You don't do that. First of all, the lack of respect there. Then you talk about how you're going to come in and you're going to manage the team. Really? Let's see. You were in Cleveland. You didn't like it there. You won your one championship when LeBron came back. Then you wanted out after he left, so you went to Boston. Then you get to Boston, and what happens there? Flame out, blah, blah, blah. You're out of there. Now you're at the Nets. And let's face it, bro. Let me explain something to you. Nobody wanted you without KD. Because what GMs understand and the media, social media, doesn't get, because social media is a bunch of idiot followers, is stupid. They support people who are out there doing the stupidest stuff. Because that's where people's minds are at. But in the real world, which is where you get paid in, you're not available. You don't know anything about what you're talking about as far as, management, who's going to be on teams. Let me see. LeBron tried to manage teams, pick players. What does that happen? United playoffs. You and KD try to manage who players, what players you're going to get, whatever. Your first round sweep. Kyrie had to manage, oh my God, my boy just went blank. Kawhi, he tried to do it. He's out. 4 people tried to be GMs, and you're all out of the playoffs or did not get in. All of you are gone out of the playoffs. Do what you do. You know me, some people talk about they want athletes to shut up and dribble. That's a bunch of nonsense. You should be able to speak your mind. You have a platform. You should express your opinion 100%. But for you to think that you can tell a GM who's going to be on your team and who's not, that's idiotic and ridiculous. Now, KD on the other side of that, KD has always been a backup number 2 guy, even though he's a number 1 guy as far as the player. It happened in Oklahoma City. He didn't stand up to Russell. So by him not standing up to Russell Westbrook, we're the Thunder or where we are to this day because he didn't stand up and go tell management, hey, you can't do that because he's non-confrontational. He goes to the Warriors. Draymond Green calls him out. He wants out of there because he's what? Non-confrontational. Second reason why he wanted out there, he thought, everybody goes, oh, well, you went there and you won your championship. Anybody can do that. He wanted to do it his way. You didn't like how Steve Kerr ran the motion offense, blah, blah, blah. Well, bro, there was a motion offense until the end of when they needed a bucket. Then it was you going one-on-one. That's what was happening in the games. Now you're at the Nets with Kyrie. He's not there. You're not there. I mean, think about this. 247 games, you guys only have been available together for 58. Kyrie's played in 116 out of 108. He's played 118, missed 160. I'm sorry. How does that work? I mean, seriously? Now, is Kyrie worth $50 million? Of course he is on his talent. Would I give him $50 million? Hell no. I agree with Stephen A. I give you $50 million on an annual deal where it's if you play, you get paid. If you get hurt, that's totally different. If somebody gets hurt, you pay them. But this, I don't want this, or I don't want to be like that, or I'm not giving you that. You 1 year. I'll pay you $50 million a year. Now, of course, you can't really do that. It's more like 40 something. But is he worth $50 million? Yes. Is he worth 40 something million? Yes. If he's available. But remember, they were up 3-1. He wanted to take a break because some family, disappeared for a few days, whatever. Come on, man. Now, Kyrie is highly intelligent. He went to Duke. He's no idiot. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's not dumb. Other than the world is flat stuff, which is ridiculous. Try sailing around the world and you find out the world ain't flat, but whatever. He is who he is. Kevin Durant is what he is. But Kevin Durant, you need to step up at some point because what most people in the public doesn't know, everybody thought, you were LeBron's little bitch for a long time until you stepped out and then went off on him when you went to Golden State against Cleveland. Up until then, you backed away. I was in Oklahoma City, sitting down there, and when we went down to Miami, killed the Heat. Heat came right back here, and I'm sitting right there and watching the game. They ISO'd you and LeBron 7 straight times. You come back down the other end, and you pass the ball. You shot twice. I mean, really? They ISO LeBron against you. LeBron's like, look, I'm the man, and just did what he wanted. On the other side of that, here's your chance to do something, and what do? You shrink. There's conflict with Russell Westbrook. You shrunk. Conflicts with Draymond. You shrunk. Now here's Kyrie and Kyrie. You shrink. You are the man. Step up. If you'd have stepped up in Oklahoma City, we would not. We would be probably in the playoffs right now because you would still be here. But you shrank. You you'd still be winning the championship if you're in Golden State, but you shrank. Now here's your opportunity again. Are you going to shrink again? You're shrinking to the stronger personality, but they're not as talented. That's what you're doing. You're a first ballot Hall of Famer, no question. Is Kyrie? He on the bubble if he ever make it. Because he knows he's not available, he doesn't play. And then he decides, oh, I don't feel like playing. I don't want this. I don't want that. Well, you can't do that. You got to be available to play when it's your turn to play. You have to show up and be available when it's time. That's enough of my rant. I'm I'm sorry. I'm just so frustrated at this nonsense. Dude, LeBron, stay out of the front office. The Lakers, look where you would be. Drew Henthorne and I talked about that. Look at what the Lakers had available, and LeBron wanted Russell Westbrook and Carmelo. Became the oldest team in the league. You got rid of players that you could have had. Lakers would still be playing right now. But you think you're a GM, you want to get what you want. Now you think about trying to come to Oklahoma City. Sam Presti's smarter than that. Keep your ass where you're at. Anyway, let's look at some round one scores from yesterday. The Mavs, of course, beat the Jazz 102-77. Drew and I had interesting discussions about that yesterday. About, he thought maybe the Jazz were going to come in there and get one. I didn't think so. I thought the Mavs were going to handle their business. And they did. Luka looked fantastic last night. Of course, Patrick Mahomes was on the sidelines watching the game. And so, anyway, that was interesting. An Eastern Conference, the Sixers, how you get beat in a closeout game at home by 15. Once again, Doc Rivers blown more 3-1 leads than anybody else. Looks like he might be blowing a 3-0 lead. They don't have their best player, basically, or second best player, Fred VanVleet, and you can't beat him. You got to be 15 at home. James Harden is James Harden. We already know what he's about when it comes to the playoffs. And now that he's getting older, he can't do all the stuff. He can't get to the basket. He can't get by people because he's going in slow motion because he's got all that weight on him because he never got in shape. Why? James don't care. James got his $500 million or whatever he's made and on and out the court. He don't care. James got all his money. James would rather sit back, get fat, and chill, and go to Paris and hang out with the rappers and do whatever and chill. That's what James wants to go to strip clubs or whatever he wants to do. That's what James wants. He don't care nothing about this, clearly. And, of course, we talked about the Celtics and the Nets, the Celtics sweeping them 4-0. It's just pathetic what I'm seeing out here right now. I mean, the playoffs went from being very good to now you're seeing them at the end. You're going, what the hell's going on? You got the Mavs and the Jazz, yes. Great series. The Mavs are up 3-2 now, going back to Salt Lake, and looks like they've got back into the groove, which Drew and I disagreed. I thought the Mavs should have waited till last night for Luka to come back in Game 5 and see if they could get away with getting a W in Utah because they were playing so well. And then, but now I kind of see they wanted Luka to come back, get into the groove. So if there is a game 7, they would have some continuity, especially if he's not having any pain. But when I look at the Raptors, I'm just going, I don't know what, I mean, the Raptors now, all of a sudden, the Raptors feel like they can play with the Sixers. They feel like they can play with the Sixers now. And I've talked about this many, many times. When a team that you should beat gets the encouragement and thinks that they can play with you are in trouble. That's what you are. And we're going to talk about the games tonight. Who's going to be in trouble? What's going to happen with that? But right now, Sixers in trouble. You got to go to Toronto without one of your best players, your best defensive player. He's not going to be there because he didn't get his shot. Once again, being selfish. But I won't say that because his family believes in a different holistic style of medication and, herbs and things like that. That's how they believe in the healing process. So, yeah, I get that, but you're playing professional basketball. You're getting paid millions of dollars for you to be available, and you're not. So, I mean, I can kind of give him a break, but on the other side, can I really? Now, when you look at what's going to happen, and I'm looking at, you know, it's just crazy because when I look at the games today, you got the T-Wolves versus the Grizz. Series is tied. Game 5. We're going back to Grizzlies. Now, Drew, we'll go over his picks here in a minute. His from HuskerDrewPicks.com. We'll go over what his picks were. T-Wolves versus the Grizz. I'm thinking the Grizz is going to be that, and I think that I believe Drew does too. But at the same time, if the big cat is hungry and he's roaming the halls, I think they have a chance to beat the Grizzlies because the Grizzlies are just kind of up and down. But I don't believe the Grizzlies are going to miss as many wide open shots. And quite frankly, they should have a 3-1 lead. So anyway, we'll see how that turns out. I still think the Grizzlies will come out of this series. I think it'll be 7 instead of 6, but we shall see. The Pelicans and the Suns, man, that's still so tough to call. When Drew and I had to do our breakdown, who we thought who was going to miss more, clearly the Suns have missed Devin Booker more than Milwaukee has missed Chris Middleton at this point. Now, that may change when they have to go play the Celtics next. We'll see how that works. But the Pelicans and the Suns, Brandon Ingram, 30 points a game, CJ McCollum, 24. And then who the Suns? Does the Suns have anybody can score that many points between them? They're picking up Chris Paul from at 94 feet. They're making him work, trying to get the ball out of his hands, and then just beating him up. Kind of what the Nuggets did to him when he was in the Clippers. They did the same type of defense, just physical on him, and they beat him down. And of course, they came back and won that series, being down 3-1 because, quite frankly, Chris Paul just ran out of gas. So when you look at this series, I'm kind of liking Man, I thought the Suns would come out. I just don't know if they can now. The Pelicans are younger. They're feeling it. They want to win. Of course, our boy Drew Henthorne is going to be Thursday night at Game 6 in New Orleans, as they're going to be in New Orleans with his J-Dub's 50th birthday party. So we'll see if he actually shows up on Friday to actually do the show. We'll see. I mean, I don't know if I would, especially if the Pelicans close them out in Game 6 and I'm in New Orleans. I'm going to be having a really, really good time. So I might be sick that day. Anyway, I think I'm going to take the Pelicans in 6. If the Suns don't win tonight, it's done. But I just don't know if Mikal Bridges can score more than 9. I mean, and Johnson's got to get. I just don't know what they're going to do. They've got to be able to score. Eastern Conference, the Hawks versus the Heat. Like I said earlier, I feel sorry for Trey. I just don't think Trey. There's just not a lot he can do by himself. I mean, there's just not. I feel sorry for him because, I mean, Trey is a very, very good player, but he is smaller. And Miami's just putting he's got 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" on him every time they switch, and they're playing a box and one on him. Trey just don't have anywhere to go. And he's doing his best, but if he's not knocking down that 40-foot three in order to bring the defense out farther on him so he can use his quickness to get by him, then he's fine. But P.J. Tucker's doing a great job on him. P.J. did a great job on KD, and he's one of the best defensive players in the league, which is why he's been around so long. So he's done a great job on Trey this far, but the Heat are just too strong physically, and I just don't. I mean, like I said, I feel sorry for Trey. Just not. I mean, what's he gonna do? I mean, like I said, unless he's knocking down his shots from long range, and he's got to put up, 25 shots if he can get that many up, by the time running the offense. Because, I mean, they're doubling him. He sees it's coming, so he's making the right basketball play. He just doesn't have anybody to pass the ball to do anything with them once they get it. So that's really hurt him as far as what he can do. Uh, and quite frankly, like I said, I feel sorry for Trey. I truly feel sorry for him because he's doing as best as he possibly can, but he's undermanned. They're playing against the number one seed. It's just tough for him to do anything with that. So, that being said, we're going to break down the bracket play thus far. We're going to start in the East here. Since we just started with Miami, I think Miami's going to go ahead and finish them off tonight. They're going to be at home, so I think they're going to finish the Hawks off tonight. Philly and Toronto, uh, man, it's tough. I don't want Doc to blow a 3-0 lead, but he has a history of not being able to finish teams out. He has the worst record for closeout games of any coach in NBA history. Not being able, and that's why he's lost so many games. I think he's lost three series up 3-1, and he was up 3-0 in this one, and they have allowed Toronto to get back into the game. And let's face it, the one game that they won, Joel Embiid had to hit a 30-footer, or, basically in OT to win the game for him. So that being said, it could easily be 3-2 Toronto right now. And James Harden is not James Harden is James Harden in the playoffs. Embiid said you have to, he's going to have to be more aggressive. I don't think James Harden has it in him because he came in out of shape and he's never, I mean, he doesn't work at his craft anymore. Right now, he's trying to live off his reputation of doing that same little dribble, step back, fade away left-handed, and he's shooting terrible from three, his worst percentage. It's been one of his worst years. Now, if they blow this, James is going to have to make a decision. Do I want to go party with the rappers and travel the world, or do I want to get my butt back in the gym and redeem myself? Because if you lose the confidence of the Philly fans, it ain't like Houston and it ain't like Oklahoma City. Those people there are brutal, and he is a little fragile, so we'll see how that works. But I'm still going to take Philly, even though Embiid has a torn ligament in his thumb. I think that's going to hinder them in the next round to go against Miami. I think if that doesn't happen, I think Philly probably beats Toronto. But he's just got to go down low because they have no answer for him and live down in the paint instead of about a three and just score there where he can. But then again, he's going to get hit more because he is inside. And if I was him, I'd knock the crap out of his hand and foul the crap out of him just to hurt that thumb if it was me. Not to hurt him, but to let him know to get a little bit more pain in there. And if you've been hurt and you try to play, it's not as easy as one might think it is. Now, in the Milwaukee-Chicago series, I think Milwaukee, Grayson Allen, he had 9 points through, 2 games? And he's had 49 in the last 2 games. He's just been phenomenal. I'm not a Grayson Allen fan. I think he's a dirty player. I don't think he should be in the league. But he's playing really, really well right now, and he has been the difference. Now, the question is, can he continue that against Boston? Probably not. It's going to be a nice matchup between him and Marcus. And Marcus Smart doesn't necessarily have the best reputation either. So that ought to be a good matchup between those two. But I just don't see him continue to do it. And if Boston is rolling like they're rolling right now, I just don't see Milwaukee beating them. I didn't think that they were necessarily the best champion last year. But, we'll see how it works. But if I have to look at it, I think Miami against Philly, I'm hoping. But if Philly loses the next game tomorrow, Thursday, I think that's the end of them. I think they're done right there. And I think Toronto probably wins Game 7 in Philly. Because if you lose by 15 at home in a closeout game, that says a lot about who you are as a team and where you all are going. So I have to take that. Man, I tell you what, this is one of my funnest things that I do is break down basketball. and give you the honest truth about how things break and give you the little details of things. And from a former player's perspective, kind of letting you know, hey, this works. He did this is where it should be. No, I'm not. I like a news reporter like these guys who went to school for journalism and all that, but I can do one thing they can't. I can see things in the game that they can't see because they didn't play. So there's certain things that I'm going to bring to the table that most some of these guys are not going to bring to. So that being said, we're going to take a break and then we're going to come back and we're going to break down the Western Conference of the NBA playoffs this year. So everybody stay tuned. Thank you for watching the Unpopular. I'll be right back. Okay, everybody, welcome back to the Unpopular Hour. Of course, I'm your host, Matt Clark. I want to take this time to thank my sponsors, Collaborative Logic, for all the stuff that they do to keep the show on air and rolling. Of course, SRB. If you need any in IT solutions or anything to do with your computer or internet, anything like that, definitely call the guys at Collaborative Logic. SRB if you need engineering, surveying, or planning as far as bridges or utilities and things like that, streets and stuff like that. They're definitely the place that you want to go for that. Also breaking down housing, surveying any kind of land you need them. Of course, then after you do that, you're going to have somebody to haul out the dirt and the rocks and all that. Of course, that's my boy Jose Fierro over at Oak Grove Trucking, and of course, Navco. They do everything. They do property. They do oil and gas. They do everything. So those are my peeps, and I appreciate them sponsoring this first round of shows, and looking forward to adding some new sponsors for the next round of shows. And then remember, on Thursdays, it's going to be our After the Storm, which is our Thunder broadcast, and we're going to break down the Thunder season. We're going to break down what our GM Sam Presti said about this year and about the draft and what's coming up. And I'm going to give you my breakdown of that, of who our players, who I think we should get, who I think needs to go, who I think we should keep, and all that. So, and I'm going to be breaking down that on Thursday. It's going to be Thursday. So it's going to be Thunder Thursdays with After the Storm with me, of course, your host, Matt Clark. So, but that being said, we just finished breaking down the Eastern bracket of the NBA playoffs. We're going to go to the Western bracket because there's some huge games tonight, so that are going to dictate who's going to win, where the brackets are going to shape out to. And when we go to it, you can see that the first thing up is Phoenix and New Orleans, and we had broken it down a little bit earlier, talking about that. I just think that Phoenix does have a little bit of an advantage because they're at home, they are seasoned, but then the advantage that on the flip side of that, New Orleans is young. They now feel like they can play. They think they can really beat them. They think that now that Devin Booker's out, they had a shot. And Drew and I talked about that. Teams take one of two ways when the best player goes out or a good player goes out of the team. They either think, oh man, we got this, and they relax, which is what Chicago did when Middleton went out. Clearly they relaxed. And then on the other side of that, New Orleans, they've taken advantage of the opportunity. And Brandon Ingram has just been fantastic, averaging 30. And of course, we talk about C.J. McCollum and how when he played with Dame Lillard at Portland for so long, they were so hard because he was a great number two closer. If you focus on the one guy, then he could shut you out. And of course, they got Valanciunas, and then I mean, you just look at them and they're really, really, really a good team. Very, very young. But if Devin Booker was there, this series would be 3-1 or 4-0. And that's kind of how I believe because now Phoenix really does not have anybody who could get a shot on their own without Chris Paul. And with Booker, what they did is they wouldn't allow you to pick on Chris Paul because Devin Booker bring the ball up the court, score, and all of a sudden, you're down 8, you're down 10, and they're rolling, and then all of a sudden you got to take shots. You can't get in your half court sets. And in the playoffs, we talk about that all the time. That there are two seasons in the NBA. There's the regular season, and then there's the playoffs. The playoffs, you get far less shots per possession per game, so each possession is that much more uh, critical, which is where Westbrook does not do well in the playoffs, but simply because he's not smart enough to really do it. I mean, he's just I play 100%. I'm going to go full speed at you. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing, and that's not necessarily the smartest basketball in the playoffs. Now, during the season, it's fine because there's always tomorrow, and you don't have to worry about it. But in a game, in the playoffs, you can't afford to give away a game because you make bad decisions down the stretch. Dallas and Utah, they got Luca back on for Game 4 in Utah. I did not like that move by Dallas, but Drew did. I did not. I thought Dallas should have waited till last night to bring Luca back for Game 5 in Dallas. The place would have been rocking. Everybody been ready. It was rock. It was rocking anyway. And of course Patrick Mahomes was there on the sideline cheering on his bro, Utah. And of course, everybody knows Dak is from the Texas area, so he is a huge Mavs fan. And of course, he's trying to get a team to Kansas City, but they already have an NBA team there 45 minutes away or 45 miles away in Lawrence. And of course, my boy Bill Self coaches their NBA franchise team, the Kansas Jayhawks. So I don't think. I don't think that a team is going to be coming to Kansas City anytime soon. But that being said, I do like the Mavs. I like the Mavs. I thought the Mavs would get them at 6. That's what I had told Drew. Utah, they just need to revamp their team a little bit. Rudy Gobert is a nice guy in the middle, but he can't guard the pick and roll. If he stems off, you got a guy who can shoot it. He backs in the paint for the rebound. And if you got a big man who can shoot the ball, you're in trouble with them. It's just that simple. It's not difficult. It's not complicated. If you can get him to roll back and you've got a big man who can shoot the ball, you're in trouble. And that's exactly what Dallas has done. But Luka was just fantastic last night, pulling Dallas on his shoulders and just blowing them out of the water. The game wasn't really even close. Golden State and Denver. I think Golden State closes out Denver tomorrow. I just don't think. I don't think just Denver. They're just depleted without Murray. There's just a lot to say about that. They just don't have a lot going on. I think Golden State gets them. I don't think Denver can keep up. They just don't have enough weapons. Uh, I think it's over. Plus, they're going to be back on the West Coast in Golden State. And I think Golden State close them out. They don't really have an answer for the three-headed monster that they have going on. And plus, Golden State's got some players coming off the bench that's young. The question is, are they going to keep Clay because he's getting a little older now? Are they going to keep him? Do they want to pay him all that money? You got Jordan Poole you got to pay. You got some rookies you got coming up that are really good. So the question is, what is Golden State going to do? Are they going to blow up their team, or are they going to trade some guys that are younger guys? And, of course, why would you do that? Because you got them on rookie deals. So if it's me, I mean, if I had to pick one, I'd probably let Clay go because of the emergence of Jordan Poole. And you got Parrish, you got the young guy coming up. So, I really like what they've done in the draft, which I think Sam Presti has the same opportunity to do the draft well in this draft, especially if we get some top picks. Remember, we have the 4th overall best chance to get the number 1 pick and the 12th overall best chance to get the number 1 pick. So I'm interested to see how that's going to happen. Now, Memphis and Minnesota, this is what we thought it would be. We thought Memphis and Minnesota would be like Boston and Brooklyn, and we did not get that at all. We did not think that Philly and Toronto would be where they were. We definitely did not see the Phoenix and New Orleans Pelicans being where they are. But the rest of it we kind of saw. This is what we thought would happen. And the Memphis, Minnesota, that's going to be a great game tonight. Of course, I'm going to be watching. And like we said, we have 2 good games. I think the Miami-Atlanta game, I doubt if I even watched it. I'll probably watch some of it just so I can talk about it. But I'm really not a fan of what that is going to bring to the table. I definitely be watching the Phoenix and New Orleans. I'm really excited about that. And Memphis and Minnesota, there's no question I'm going to be glued to the TV with my clubby and my vodka, because you got to add vodka to the clubby. I mean, the clubby's okay, but I need my vodka with it as well. And I'll probably be watching that and maybe sit out on my deck tonight and start a fire and watch it in my patio. So I might do that tonight. But anyway, Memphis, Minnesota. I'm still going to take the Grizz. Uh, unless the big cat comes up and shows up and play. I think Memphis should be up 3-1. God, they missed a lot of wide open shots. I just don't see them doing that again at home. I think they finish that off and they win 3-2, and then they go up to Minnesota and get that done. But like I said, I just don't see them missing that many wide open shots. I just don't see it. I think they're going to handle their business. I think they're going to blow them out. That's what I think. I'm not necessarily blow them out, but I think they're going to win. Let's go to Drew's picks. Now he's got the Heat -7, which I think the Heat for sure. Then he took the T-Wolves +7. Now I thought that maybe there might be a blowout there, but Drew's taking the T-Wolves. He thinks there's going to be that the T-Wolves are going to cover that 7, even though he and I both believe that the Grizzlies are going to win the game. But he thinks that the T-Wolves will keep it within the 7 points. And I would agree with that. I mean, because a blowout 7 points in playoffs is a lot. It's kind of a blowout. But I do believe that the T-Wolves, like I said, depends on what the big cat does. If he's hunting tonight, if he's out, then Memphis is in trouble. If he's not, I don't think that that's going to be close, and he may have a loser there. But I do agree. I think the Heat are going to cover that for sure. The T-Wolves are probably going to cover. And then taking the Suns -7, he and I both agree that the Suns will probably win Game 5. But a -7, I think that's a lot for them. I don't know. Wish he was here so he could defend his deal. And, of course, the Braves at -175. He's him and his damn Braves. He loves those Braves. I told him, get some more Dodgers in there, brother. The AAA team is here. But when you look at that, I think that I do believe that it's going to be interesting to see how that works. I do believe that I just think that the Suns, they can get it done. They're going to be at home. Chris Paul is just going to have to be able to handle pressure. But they're going to have some guys step up. They just got to. Johnson's going to have to hit some shots. Bridges are going to have to hit some shots. They're just going to have other guys step up and play. They're going to have to other guys have at least a couple other guys scoring in the mid-20s. They're going to have at least 2 guys in the 20s minimum. And they're going to have at least 4 to 5 guys, if not 5 guys, in double figures for them to win by 7. If they don't have that, I think they lose by more than 7. But they got to have everybody on. They got to have everybody on full board tonight. Everybody's got to be ready. Everybody's got to be full tilt, focused on the task at hand. Because if not, they're going to lose this series. And it's unfortunate because last year Chris Paul gets hurt. Now this year Devin Booker gets hurt. And Drew and I had to talk about that, whether Chris Paul will come back. And I said, if the Suns win, I think that Chris Paul leaves. If the Suns lose, I think Chris Paul comes back because I believe Chris Paul will do everything in his might to get in shape. And remember, he got hurt early, so he came back. So this is as healthy as he was going to be in the playoffs since I can remember. This is as healthy as he's been for the playoff run. And then, of course, you lose Booker on just a weird hamstring pulled injury, chasing down, trying to block a shot, just a freak deal. He came down wrong. It's just one of those things, and it's unfortunate for the Suns because they were the NBA's best team this year by far. 8 games out in front of everybody? So, I mean, they put it on everybody all year long. But, injuries are a part of sports. They derail many NFL championships, many baseball championships, and basketball championship hopes as well. All 3 sports. Soccer, same thing. You can have a couple players, and you get one key injury, you're done. And that's why I think the Milwaukee Bucks, I think Chris Middleton is going to hurt them later. Yeah, I mean, is Grayson Allen going to continue to average 20-something points a game? No. He's not going to do that. Is Giannis going to be Giannis? Yes. Drew Holiday going to be Drew Holiday? Yes. But having that Chris Middleton, that's going to really kill them, A, because of his scoring, and B, because of his defense. His rebounding and his presence. I think that's going to be huge for them, for Milwaukee. So, but anyway, I just feel sorry for the Suns. Once again, I'm going to throw this thing up. I do believe, like I said, I agree with Drew Henthorne of HuskerDrewPicks.com. I think the Heat win by 7. I like the T-Wolves covering. I don't know if they'll actually win, but I do believe it's going to depend on what the Big Cat does. The Suns, man, that one right there worries me. And Drew and I talked about that. That really worried him, but he thought the Suns being at home, kind of like the Mavericks being at home. I thought last night he thought he liked the Jazz. I liked the Mavs last night, and so we'll see the Suns. What happens? Even though he went 3-1 last night, I believe. What did he do? I know he sent me a text about it. Where did he go? Yeah, he went 3-1 last night. He had the Celtics winning. The 76ers, all right, nobody saw that coming. The Mavs a W and the Phillies W. Even though he bet the Mavs, he thought that the Jazz could possibly come back and sneak one, and I did not. Just like I'm just thinking tonight that, man, I just don't know if the Suns can get it done. But it's Game 5. They got Chris Paul. They're at home. Everything's on the line. Monty Williams is a good coach. Unlike, I don't think they'll lay an egg like Philly did last night. That is just pathetic. You lose by 15 at home in a closeout game, up 3-1. You just didn't show up. James Harden was a no-show. Anyway, I'm not going to, I did my rant today. I went off about KD and Kyrie about the idiocracies that they were talking about today. It's just, dude, just go play basketball. You're not a GM. And shut up and play. That's not what I'm saying, because that's stupid for people to say that as well. People should have an opinion. You should. I mean, just because you're a basketball player, I don't want to. You're not my entertainment. This is not some sort of side vaudeville show where I just want to watch you on stage. It's not like that. They should be able to have a platform, and they should be able to speak their piece. But for you to go out and think you're a general manager, and you can pick players, and you can't even finish games, and that's just, like I said, I'm not going to go back into it, but Kyrie, you played in 118 games, you missed 116. You and KD together have played in 58 of 100 or 247 possible games. You're not a GM. You need to be available, first of all. Now, is he worth all the money? Yes. Is he one of the top point guards in the NBA? Without question. If he's worth 40-something million, no doubt. But I agree with Stephen A. Smith. I'm paying you annually, or I'm paying you that based on, I'm going to get his contract. But we're going to put in some language. You have to play this many games. Anything less than this many games, then we are subtracting money from that. So if you want the money, I don't have a problem giving you a long-term contract, but we are going to put games on it. You have to be available. You can't miss a week and go, oh, well, there's a this or that or whatever come out. I mean, it's ridiculous what he comes up with. He's in it for the love of the money. And most of these guys are in it for the love of the money. It's like Steve Williams said about Tiger. Tiger never gave a crap about the money. He was after records. Kobe, he's about winning records. He's about tying Michael Jordan. And if Shaq would have had the same mentality as Kobe did, the Lakers would probably won 4, 5, 6 in a row. But Shaq didn't have that. And I promise you, he regrets it because he was too busy having fun instead of focusing on his craft. Now, this is the same stuff that he comes back and he tells these guys right now. Why? He knows. He knows exactly what he did. That's why he doesn't want to crack on these guys too hard, but then he does, like saying, hey, like he was talking about being swept. I got swept 4 times. But he wasn't out smiling about it on the press conference after that. He was pissed off about it and upset about it. He wasn't Kyrie and just acting like nothing ever happened, blah, blah, blah. Russell Westbrook, oh, I don't care about that. Dude, you losing. How does that not bother you? How are you not upset? Anyway, there's some great NBA games on tonight. Okay, here are the games to remind everybody. T-Wolves and the Grizzlies tonight. The Pelicans and the Suns. Definitely watching both of those games. Like we talked about, the Hawks and the Heat. Man, I'm sure I'm going to watch that game, but I may be on my phone at the same time. I don't know how much of that game I'm really going to watch. But anyway, those are the games on tonight, and I hope everybody gets a chance to watch, especially those first two. are going to be well worth it. The Heat and the Hawks. That should be the first game of the night. Just get that crap over with and let's watch the last games. And of course, I think the Pelicans and the Suns should be next, and the T-Wolves and the Grizzlies, but it'll probably be the Pelicans and the Suns will be the last game. So, there's some good NBA TV on tonight. So everybody come watch it. And remember, the NFL draft is coming up. And just to promote that, the NFL draft begins Thursday and ends Saturday. So tomorrow's show, we're going to break down not only what happened tonight, but we're going to spend a lot of time on the draft, who the teams are, who's going to be drafted in what order. And we've talked about that. Here's the draft order. The Jaguars first, Lions, Texans, Jets. Of course, the Giants have the 5th and 7th pick. The Panthers are squeezed there in the middle. Of course, they need a quarterback bad. The Falcons, Seahawks, and Jets. And, of course, a lot of people's beloved Cowboys. And, of course, my boy Matt Moyer. I had to bless him with the Chiefs. I'm a huge Patrick Mahomes fan, but I had to put my boy Matt Moyer in there talking about those Chiefs. And, of course, they have the 29th and 30th pick this year. So, anyway, hope everybody gets to enjoy some of this TV. Remember, stay safe, stay out of trouble. Thank you for watching the Unpopular Hour. And, of course, I'm your host, Matt Clark. Everybody, be safe. Peace out.